on the motor situation. So there's the motor in sort of position. I've got the belt on, and oh my good night, there's a hole in the back. So there we go, it's all lined up. So yeah, I've cut a hole out, and it's not quite big enough, but good enough. The idea here is going to be, I'm going to take about another ½ inch off here, and then that will bring it level with the supports up there. You see the supports? So I'm just going to get rid of the blue, and it's going to come up to the supports there. Then I've lined this hinge up so it's level to the edge, and then I've lined the centre plate up so it's level to that edge, leaving this gap. Obviously this is the metal that I've got to make this plate with. These two long ones are nearly the same, and I've got two of these which are near enough the same. They're offcuts. I've scribed a line across this here and that there to line up to the centre, and then I've scribed a line across all three of them just for lining up. So now I'm going to grind the edges of these here ready for welding, and for grinding I'm going to be using some safety goggles and some hearing protection. So I've migged it down both sides as usual, you know, a few bits missed and what have you, but it's got good enough penetration now. It's welded all the way down, and the plates have not pulled because I welded one side a little bit, then the other side a little bit, and then did it all. And as far as I can see, they've not pulled. So I'm going to have to get the grinder in, obviously, and grind them flat-ish. I filled the V up nicely, but I cut in there, and it's proud of it, so it should clean up relatively okay. Oh. Near enough flat and ground. So it's not perfect, as we can see, but that is good enough for a thing that nobody will ever see. I've opted not to grind this side because I don't need to, so what's the point? And these welds turned out a lot better on this side than the ones I showed you before. Not perfectly straight, as you can see. I've got a bit of a wiggle on, but it ain't bad, considering I use about, I don't know, 12, 13 lens which I can't see through basically, which makes it really difficult to weld. Focus, there we go. Right, I've got some laying out done here. I've got 2 centre punch marks there, and I've got another two, so there's 6 centre punch marks, so I can drill and tap for that there, and I put another one there and another one there. Then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I've measured it from there to there, and from there to there, from there to there, from there to there, from there to there, and from there to there, and it is square. So that's good, and then I'll just put 2 freehand, more or less, centre punches in for the threaded adjusters, which are going to push the whole plate down to tension the belt. So here we go. 2 of the holes are drilled and tapped, and the tap is a bit rubbish. The bolts do go in, but they are very tight. Very tight indeed. And I have checked it, it is the right thread size, so that is the thread size, 1.5. And I suppose before we carry on, we better make sure that 10B1 goes through. It's a bit tight. It's tight like a tiger. I'm pretty certain it's alright. So far so good. We've got 6 M10B 1.5 threads actually. Need cleaning up, but there we go. And then I've just done the 6 on this side, M6 bolts, and they look to be lined up pretty good. So that's all good. I've just got 6 more to drill here on tap, and then the motor plate will be ready to accept the motor. It's getting a bit oily now. I don't think it's going to rust now. It's got oil everywhere and the mill scale still all over it. And now I'm holding it is just on hold down blocks on the side, because I take it they're about the same kind of levelness, and that's giving me the standoff I need not to drill any more holes in the table or the ones that the people before me had done. Don't tell me it's cut out. No, it's okay. So I've rubbed it down with white spirits and a Scotch-Brite pad. There we go, Scotch-Brite pad. And then all the important places I've sanded it as well, get all the loose flakes off. So now we're down to bare metal here, so I've got to prime it. So this whole front face here lost a lot of paint due to the bits being loose and scraping against it basically. So I'm going to prime this with some special metal primer. It's got a little bit of acid in it, so it just etches in a little bit, gives it a good key. These little bits up here, you know, they're going to flake off anyway, so I'm not bothered about priming up here, all these little bits around here and what have you. This isn't getting painted, so it doesn't need anything on it. But I've masked up everywhere ready for the black paint, which will be going on after I primed it. Now I'm considering, since I have cleaned out down to bare metal, painting that white inside the ways. I might try and get some primer in there now and see how it goes. I went ahead and obviously you can see I've done exactly what I said on the tin, which was paint the bare metal bits red. I went around the base a little bit around here just to get a bit around the base there, and I think it is now dry enough to put some colour on. I also painted this was completely bare metal as well, and now it's going to turn black. So obviously it's, you know, not rubbed down, it's just been wiped over with Scotch-Brite. I'm not sure how well it's going to cover or if it's going to react, but there is some black paint on there, first coat, and I chose that. It's metal, plastic, ceramic, even rust. It's self-undercoating paint, so it should be half decent. It's a bit runny though. I like to point it on thicker than what I put it on, but not to worry, it's on. You'll see what bits I masked up and what bits I didn't mask up. As you can see this bit here is unmasked, and I didn't get too much paint in the holes, thankfully, although that hole at the back got some paint in it. Well, I cleaned out in here while I was at it a little bit, just to get some of those metal chips out. There's still a few chips in there, like that. But there we go, it's a bit cleaner in there now. So when I put it back together again, I can just squirt some oil in and let it drip down everywhere, and there won't be chips being dragged. So there's a couple of chips in there, but not like it was. Cool. Okay, black it is. I've got my gold paint as well, so I'm going to be doing my highlights with my gold paint as well. Don't know what highlights I'm going to do yet, but I've got a feeling there's going to be some writing down here somewhere, because this area the saddle never actually gets to, so just a bit of writing here in gold. And I don't know what else
else I'm going to do in gold, I don't know. Obviously the oilers will be brass, so give them a bit of polish in. There's 4 oilers here which will contrast nicely with the black. I was hoping this was going to be some kind of polished thing, but it wasn't. It was just no paint on it. It was bare steel. This thing here, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be there because there's a sump underneath there with oil in it. You just squirting oil straight into a sump. Seems a bit ridiculous to me, but there you go. I like the way there's just a thin bit of black just here, and the rest of it is all masked off because there's a cover plate goes in and you can just see that bit in between the cover and the gearbox, so that needed painting. That was a bit strange, but quite interesting all the same. And tomorrow morning it will be dry, another coat will go on, and hopefully it will be nice, at least as good as what the Vice was. So things are starting to come together. That comes off beautifully. I can't do it with one hand because you need to grab both levers, can't quite do that. Still need to clean the reversing gearbox cover plate up and have a look inside there. Still need to clean up this collar, whatever it does. I'm getting ready to rebuild the quick change gearbox now because, as you can see, there's a shaft coming in here. The saddle and apron are back on. I've got this side not very well cleaned at all. You can see I've just got it once over.